Tonight in Britain, a storm is brewing. A secretive government program, a rising wave of extremist violence, and now, whispers of an election scandal that could bring the whole system crashing down. What happens when the very scheme designed to prevent terror becomes the story itself? This is the hidden world of Prevent, Britain's most controversial counter-terrorism strategy. And this time, the truth can't be contained. For decades, Prevent has operated behind closed doors, quietly labeling, tracking, and sometimes saving lives. But when Prevent goes wrong, people die, and when it fails, governments fall. Tonight, for the first time, we take you inside a world built on secrets, where the difference between protection and persecution is one meeting, one decision, one mistake. It begins in the fictional town of Westshire, a mirror of the real Britain few ever see. Inside a quiet council room, a dozen professionals sit around a table. Teachers, police, mental health officers. They're not just discussing troubled individuals. They're deciding who might become the next headline. Two names land on the table: Amanda, a 17-year-old student, and Stephen, a young man with autism and online obsessions. Amanda's been vocal about refugees, religion, and what she calls double standards. Stephen's been searching for mass shootings online, skipping therapy sessions, and posting strange messages on Telegram. The room goes silent. For national security, the cameras can't record sound, only the faces of people forced to decide someone's fate. A wrong call could destroy a life, or cost one. Since its creation after 9/11, Prevent has tried to stop terrorism before it starts. But every attack that slips through reignites the debate. Does Prevent really prevent anything? From the 2005 London bombings to the Manchester Arena attack, each tragedy added more power, more funding, and more secrecy to a system no one fully understands. And now, with a general election looming and ministers accused of hiding Prevent failures, the stakes have never been higher. SFX, emergency call. Faint sirens fade in the background. Police, please. A man with a knife. It's the sound that haunts Britain's streets, and every time it plays, Prevent's name resurfaces. The public demands safety. The government promises control. But what if both are illusions? In Southport, 3 schoolgirls were murdered by a teenager obsessed with violence. Axel Rudakabana. He was referred to Prevent 3 times and rejected 3 times. He never reached a channel panel. He never met someone like Abdul Ahad, a man once radicalized, now trying to pull others back from the edge. Abdul's story is one of redemption. Once part of a banned extremist group, he was challenged by an imam who changed his life. Now he travels across the UK, mosques, gyms, schools, anywhere hate can grow. His mission? To find those about to fall and pull them back before it's too late. People come up to me, Abdul says. In mosques, supermarkets, even the gym. You listen. You don't judge. That's how you start. He works with Islamists and far-right radicals alike. 2 sides of the same hatred. 2 faces of a country losing its middle ground. But for every success story, there's a failure buried under bureaucracy. Every referral is a gamble, a human life turned into paperwork, a name debated over coffee and policy jargon. Amanda was referred for speaking out. Stephen for his silence. Some say the system protects. Others say it profiles. And tonight, with an election scandal growing, that argument has reached the heart of Westminster. Documents leaked to the press show that senior ministers ignored internal warnings. Prevent was overwhelmed, underfunded, and politically weaponized. Reports were altered. Numbers were spun. And in the middle of it all, the Home Office quietly buried evidence that could have saved lives before the last election. Opposition MPs are calling it a moral failure. The government calls it miscommunication, but the public calls it betrayal. As the media circles the scandal, the Prevent teams on the ground keep working. Unpaid overtime, sleepless nights, endless second-guessing. In training rooms across Britain, panels argue. Amanda is accepted into the program. Stephen is too. Lives suspended in bureaucracy. And while those debates happen, politicians in London rehearse talking points instead of solutions. By night, Britain's streets tell a different story. Police patrols thinner, trust lower, protests flaring in cities where citizens say they're being watched instead of being heard. The tension grows, and Prevent becomes not just a safety net, but a symbol of the state's power to judge its own people. Far-right groups call it censorship. Islamist groups call it persecution. And now voters are calling it corruption. Election season has turned into a referendum on fear. Leaked footage shows Prevent officials briefing party insiders, a violation of neutrality laws. One former aide calls it the biggest election scandal since the expenses crisis. As Parliament denies, more files surface. Prevent wasn't just about terrorism. It was being used to flag politically unstable youth groups, protest leaders, and even journalists. The system built to stop extremism was being used to monitor democracy. And in one shocking revelation, a Prevent caseworker turned whistleblower releases a secret memo showing political bias in case selection. Muslim names flagged faster, far-right referrals delayed. The document hits social media, and within hours, our Prevent leaks trends worldwide. The government scrambles. Downing Street promises an investigation. The Home Secretary resigns. And the Prime Minister? Silent. Nigel Farage appears on air. This isn't prevention, he says. It's surveillance in disguise, and the people deserve to know before they vote. The clip goes viral. The election shifts overnight. Meanwhile, Abdul meets another young man, angry, lost, and convinced the government is the enemy. It's the same cycle, over and over. He listens, talks, offers hope. Because on the ground, Prevent is people, not policy. And despite the headlines, they keep trying. Weeks later, as Britain heads to the polls, the Prevent scandal dominates every broadcast. Officials testify before Parliament. Families of victims demand truth. And outside, thousands march, and not for one side or another, but for accountability. Because now the question isn't just about terrorism. It's about trust. When the votes are counted, the numbers shock everyone. Public confidence in government security programs has dropped to its lowest in history. But something else rises in awareness. For the first time, millions are asking not just what is Prevent, but who does it protect? The silence breaks. The truth spreads. And Britain begins to see itself, not through headlines, but through reflection. Music swells, hopeful but tense. The riots have faded. The scandals are still unfolding. But the story of Prevent isn't over. It's being rewritten, one voice at a time. Because in the end, control means nothing without trust. And safety means nothing without truth. I'm your channel name. And this has been your deep dive into Britain's most secretive program and the scandal that could change the next election forever. Stay informed. Stay aware. And if you believe the truth deserves to be heard, subscribe and join us as we uncover the stories they don't want you to see.